We are live. Hey guys, I'm Wolfie, and today we are going to talk about the latest 49ers news. Moody is here to stay. A boost of confidence from Kyle Shanahan of Jake Moody. O-line there's been some pickups for O-line, so maybe O-line might be a priority. Maybe the 49ers taking O-line a little more seriously this time around, which is something we were dying to see, something we're dying to need. And this is probably the biggest one of them all. Brock Purdy is going to play the last two games, and I'm going to talk about why that scares the living shit out of me. And if it was any other year and circumstance, I'd probably be all for it. But considering this one, not this much, not this one. But hold on, let me turn my fan real quick. Okay, all right. So, anyway, before we get into anything, before we jump into anything, of course, we are brought to you by our sponsor, water. Because water is good for you. Water is for everyone. Water is a necessity. And not as a necessity, it's really good for your skin. This is not a filter, y'all. This is not a filter. I'm 36 years old. This is not a filter. Water. And it cleans your organs. Makes your skin look good. It's awesome. All right, so make sure you're drinking a cup of water at the very least. I know some people out there that do not drink water at all. It's like, you probably should. So, water, H2O. Drink it today. All right, Debo Prod's in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you. Bro, I am not excited for Monday Night Football. I'm not excited, but at the same time, it's like I'm anticipating, like there's an anticipation of like, oh my God, it's gonna be a car wreck, it's gonna be a crash, it's gonna be like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Like I'm excited to see it. At the same time, I'm not, just because of what it entails based on everything that's happened, based on injuries and stuff. So, but before we get into the big one, which is Brock Purdy, we're going ahead and talk about no Greenlaw, no Trent Williams. Jake Brendel has an illness, but probably will play. McKivitz did not practice today, but he most likely won't play on Sunday. And that is the big thing that we're going to talk about right now, which is Brock Purdy on Monday Night Football is going to be playing behind Charlie Heck, who we just picked up on Christmas Eve, Jake Brendel, who we all know is complete ass, Purdy, yes, he's playing great, but he's still a rookie. I do expect some mistakes from him. Nick Zakelj, who's never started. And then you got Austin Pleasant, who we just picked up a week ago. That is Brock Purdy's protection. That is his offensive line. This has to be the worst starting offensive line I have ever seen in my entire 49ers fandom career. I've never seen anything like it. And the fact that we're going to put him out there is mind-boggling, dude. It's so crazy. We're going to put him out there behind this line that's just put together by Plato. One in the house. Purdy is down to a practice squad level left tackle. God, I hope he'll be okay. Don't kill him, Lions. Imagine an upset. I know, dude. I'm going to talk so much shit. I'm going to take a win as a win, guys. A win. I know we're no playoffs, but if we somehow win this game, that's huge. Rest in peace, Purdy. Yeah, so let's go ahead and jump into the Purdy thing. So I was watching Brad Graham of the SF Niners. He made a good point that before all these injuries, people have figured out the protection scheme of Kyle Shanahan. And, there'd be some holes here and there. Some defensive coordinators already know his tips and tricks to get it done. That's with the starting line. Now you're putting him out there with literally just practice, like Juan said, just practice level, practice squad level left tackles. And maybe they are good in the end. Maybe they'll play better in the end. Maybe in the future they'll be good. But you just picked them up, man. You just got them now. And everyone knows that offensive line requires a cohesion. Everyone knows that that an O-line requires, everyone has to be on the same page. You literally just picked up people off the street and said, hey, you're playing left guard, you're playing left tackle, you're playing right tackle against the Lions, who are super hot right now. Yeah, they're injury decimated. Luckily, Aiden Hutchinson's not out there for us, because oh my God, that would be brutal. That D-line is relatively decimated for the Lions, but still, the quality between our offensive line and their D-line is bar none different. It's night and day. That D-line is going to feast. And the fact that Kyle Shanahan is like, I don't see why we should put Tanner Mordecai out there, Brandon Allen, or Joshua Dobbs out there. I think we should still put Brock Purdy. I mean, I try not to talk shit about Kyle Shanahan because it just fuels the haters that it would make people think that I'm trying to call for his job and I think he should get fired. No, I do think that head coaches do just make dumb decisions every now and again, even great ones. But this is definitely one I do not get behind. If this was any other week, any other situation, if we had a full offensive line or just one offensive lineman missing, I'd be like, okay, why not? Put a depth piece in there. No, you were literally putting in what would be considered the fourth depth piece in one position. You are putting in literally people you picked up right off the street just this week, just on Christmas Eve, just last week. But Brock Purdy is going to get obliterated on Monday Night Football. Brock Purdy is going to die on Monday Night Football. If he comes out of that, last week I felt that if he were to come out of that game unscathed and perfectly healthy, it's a miracle. And apparently he is, so that's a miracle. This week, against a better D-line, holy crap, are we going to get obliterated? Holy crap, is Brock Purdy going to get destroyed? I mean, I expect dink and dunks all game. I expect no deep passes. I expect Brock Purdy to go out there and just literally go dink and dunk it. Throw to his checkdowns left and right. Do 5-yard passes because I can't imagine him have any kind of time, any kind of real protection. Because if Brock Purdy ends up having any kind of protection at all and he's not scrambling for his life, I would be utterly shocked. That would be a miracle in itself. He's literally playing with Charlie Heck, who just picked up, Jake Brendel, who is ass at center. We got Poonie as a rookie. He's going to make some mistakes. Nick Sikell's never started in his life. Austin Pleasant, I don't know if he started. I think he started before. My God, dude. And like I said, the scheme has already been figured out. The protection scheme of the 49ers of Kyle Shanahan's offense has already been figured out prior to this. So now add that on top of a bunch of players just coming in, forcing that cohesion and just hoping that they all just play well together. Oh my Lord, it's going to be, like Debo Prod said, if we magically win this game, wow, I'm talking a lot of shit. I'm going at it. I'm talking a lot of shit, but we're not going to win this game. All right. Brock Purdy's going to go in this game and do everything he can to win it, of course. And he's going to play. He's going to start. I don't think he should because you're asking for an accident. You're asking for him to tear something. You're asking for him to break something, which is going to hurt his duration throughout his career. It's going to possibly end his career, especially since you're going to put him out there against a team. You're going to put him out there against a team that's going to want to see this 49ers team lose. And I mean lose badly. They want revenge. From what I've heard, from what I've seen from other Lions players, they're talking like, oh, this team is a lot better than they make it out to be. We're going to come at them 110%. They are going to try their ass off. They are going to score after score after score. If it is 55-7, they're going to keep scoring. They're going to keep going. This team wants revenge, and this team is, out of all 32 teams, this team would be the one to say, fuck you. We're getting revenge. We're biting your kneecap off. And we're going to hurt Purdy. We're going to do the whole shebang, dude. It's going to be crazy, dude. It's just going to be like I'm waiting for a wreck to happen. Just a total crash out to happen on this defense. Sorry, on this offensive line. That Brock Purdy's just going to get obliterated. No one's going to be able to get anything done in the run game because we all know Patrick Taylor is going to get the start because I do agree. I've heard Larry talk about this. Larry talks about how, like, I don't know why you don't play with it with these last two games, test people out, see what they can do. I agree with that. Put Tanner Mordecai out there. Let's see what Abikonda can do. Let's see what other players can do. I want to see what they got. And you might as well. Instead, we're putting out players as if you're trying to play for a playoff spot, playing the next best guy. And it's like, dude, stop that. You're not playing for anything. I'm all for like players trying hard and things of that nature, but when you have these valuable reps, I just think it's ridiculous to put Patrick Taylor out there. I think it's ridiculous to put Brock Purdy out there. We need to see what these other guys have got going on, especially with this offensive line. This offensive line is going to get Brock Purdy killed, and Kyle Shanahan just cannot see it. He cannot see the problem of putting this guy out there in a very violent sport against a team that just wants to destroy us. So I don't like this approach. I'm not liking this at all. For once, I'm not saying I'm turning on Kyle Shanahan and saying fire him, but I'm jumping on some sort of train of like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you trying to do? I know that Kyle's like, oh, these valuable reps, we'll see what he'll learn from this. What would he possibly learn from? Do you plan on this offensive line using reserves from the practice squad level over and over again? Do you plan on not fixing the offensive line next year? Do you plan on this being the norm? What he's going to play? No, man. Yeah, I understand that. Like this year, there's some lessons you got to learn. Like, okay, you don't have your receivers are getting last separation. They're slow as shit. You don't have your elite weapons anymore. See what you can do. But at some point, it's just murder. At some point, you're just putting that guy out there to get his ass beat. There's nothing to learn here. There's nothing to educate yourself on, man. He's already gotten his ass beat against the Dolphins. He's going to get his ass beat again against the Lions. And I mean, the Lions are better than the fucking Dolphins. The Lions are way more hungry than the Dolphins are when it comes to this team. There is no lesson worth learning here. And I don't understand the logic behind, hey, let's go ahead and throw Brock Purdy out there. I understand there's 4 games, there's 2 games left, and people are going to say, oh, Brock Purdy got benched. I don't care. I don't care about that narrative. I don't give a shit. Let them spin that narrative, dude. But all I know is the reality is there's people with emotions, there's haters saying, oh, he got benched. The reality is he needs to sit to protect himself. He needs to sit to protect his career. You're going to pay this guy millions and millions of dollars, and your pop's going to go out there and get him killed because you think he's going to teach him some sort of lesson. Is unreal to me. Blows my mind. Like, I'm afraid for Brock Purdy. I'm afraid for all of it. I don't want to see him get hurt. But you're literally playing with players you picked up just a week ago at the very latest. Austin Pleasant is going to play right tackle. You picked him up somewhere around the 19th or 18th. I could be wrong. You got Jake Brendel, who's ass. You got Nick Sakel, who's been on the depth chart, and he's like way down in the depth chart, dude. Nobody even wants to pick him up as a depth piece. He's that bad. He's literally just Brock Purdy's best friend. And then you got Charlie Heck, who you just picked up. Like, he could be good. The 49ers actually liked him in the draft. He got drafted in the 3rd round. And so I don't remember when, but like cohesion, man, is a thing for offensive linemen. Like momentum, like studying, like practicing together, but practicing for 3 practices is not going to do it, man. We could have got Brian O'Neill from the Vikings for crying out loud, and it probably wouldn't have worked out. It would be just as concerning because offensive line requires everyone working together, especially when it comes to one side. Center, right guard, right tackle, they need to be on the right point. Center, left guard, left tackle need to be on the same page. It is unfathomable that we're going to put Brock Purdy out there just because either A, it's because we need to teach him, because it will teach him something very valuable for running for his life and having to throw the ball with 1 second, or it's just because you don't want the narrative of, hey, Brock Purdy is getting benched. You don't want that narrative. Fuck that, dude. Haters are going to be what they are, right? Reporters are going to spin the narrative what they want. But the reality is when you come in the middle, like get away from your emotions and look at the reality of things, putting Brock Purdy out there against a team that wants to destroy you, and I mean they want to destroy the 49ers for knocking them off the NFC Championship game. I just can't see him coming out of that game not beat up. He's going to come out of that game destroyed. He's going to get obliterated. He got obliterated last week, and yet somehow by some miracle, he didn't die. Dear Lord. If this was the Cardinals, wouldn't feel as bad. If this was another team, wouldn't be like, okay, not as bad. But this team literally wants to destroy and murder every player on this team. It's just not smart. It's just not smart. So that's what I feel about with Brock Purdy, him playing out there, and I don't think he should, obviously. And I think this is a terrible, terrible decision by Kyle Shanahan. And I agree with Larry, even though Larry is obsessed with Mordecai and he really wants to see him, I also think putting Mordecai out there would probably be a better bet. Not at Brandon Allen. You already know what he's got. You're not playing for anything. Not Joshua Dobbs. You already know what he's got. You're not playing for anything. But if you put Tanner Mordecai out there, you're seeing what he's got. Can he be the backup? Can he do it? Can he survive? Can he run for his life? Because that's what's going to happen. Let's see what Abani Konda can do. Like, I want to see what he can do. Can he do something with this terrible offensive line? I know Patrick Taylor can't do anything. Like, now is the time to put players through the gauntlet that haven't been tested yet and not let the players who gotten their ass beat already, like Brock Purdy, go out there and continue to get his ass beat and possibly end his career. Because I promise you, if he goes out there and gets hurt, all eyes are going to be on Kyle Shanahan. All criticism is going to be on Kyle Shanahan. It's going to be a lot worse. You're going to be dealing with a lot worse narratives than, oh, he's benched. You're going to be dealing with a lot worse narratives. You have to balance it. And that's just not happening here. So that's what I think about Brock Purdy. Let's see what Juan had a couple comments. Let's get to that. Can we talk about how bad Caleb Williams was? Purdy was destroyed by people like Nick Wright for throwing a bad pick behind the practice squad offensive line in the fifth string while Caleb gets a pass. I don't think so. I think as of late he has been criticizing Caleb Williams for the bet, but he's got a bias, though, because he's got to protect the man that he believes in, that he loves. The only way that it would happen is if, like, the next few years he's trash, nothing works out. It's always that narrative for Caleb Williams is always going to be there. And again, it's kind of what we've always been saying all year is draftism. He's a number one overall pick. People are going to look at him and be like, hey, it's just his rookie year. It's just not that bad. Offensive line may be terrible, but, it's his offensive line, so he gets a pass. That's draftism. That's a thing. Same thing with Darnold. Right now, Darnold's getting praise, even though being shit for most of the year. Then he gets on a team that has everything meant for a quarterback to succeed. Better than I think Brock Purdy had last year. And yet somehow this is the product that Darnold is. It's draftism. He was drafted third overall. Caleb Williams was drafted first overall. They're always going to get a pass. They're always going to look at, oh, look, did you see he played great that one game? You see that potential? For Brock Purdy, it's the opposite. It's, oh, you see that? He lost the game. That's typical seventh-round pick stuff. That's typical seventh-round stuff. We all saw this coming. We all know it. That is just the thing. That is just how it works. So Caleb Williams is always going to get a pass until he doesn't. And that's not going to happen for a few years, especially with Nick Wright, because Nick Wright is the Caleb Williams train guy who's riding the hype train of that. So we're going to have to get on board with a few narratives that are going to stick around, a few narratives that are going to be part of certain quarterbacks. And since Caleb Williams is the number one overall pick, and there's a few people that love him, they're gonna hype him up. Nobody, and I mean nobody, stood by Brock Purdy before the draft. No one was like, hey, I'm putting my name on it. Brock Purdy's this guy. Nobody did that. So no one's going to preach or feel like they have to stand on business by defending a certain guy. With Brock Purdy, they have the freedom of saying, oh, he's just bad, or, oh, he's a typical seventh-round draft pick. While other guys who get drafted in the first round, a lot of people have put their names on it. A lot of people put themselves out there and say, hey, this guy is going to be great. So they have to stand on business. It's draftism at its finest. Also, crazy proposal. We don't know if McCaffrey will look the same. Mason might not be here. What if we draft Genty first round and then second and third round we draft O-line? Nah, man, we can't do it. We just can't do it. I know CMC may not look the same, and I don't think he will. That's just my opinion. I got backlash, by the way, for that video I posted. People were like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? It's just an opinion. I just don't think he's going to be the same. I don't think he's going to be bad. I don't think he's going to be an average back. I still think he's going to be great. But do you understand how good CMC was before this injury? He was one of the greatest running backs ever, a Hall of Fame-ish. And after these injuries, I still think he's going to be a great back. I just don't think we're going to see the same CMC as before. That is it. It's my opinion. I just don't think we're going to see the same exact CMC as before. And then you got Mason, who may not come back, but I do think he's going to come back because I don't think anyone's going to want to give up a second or third round pick and pay him starting running back money. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to end up having Mason back. If we don't, we got Isaac Guerrero, who's looking like an absolute stud. I think that if we wasted a if we used a first round draft pick on Genty, it would be a waste because offensive line is so bad that you'd be asking way too much of Genty at that point. And he's going to get driven into the ground and lose a lot of confidence and probably won't be as good later on. Offensive line is number one priority. It's the O-line. CMC is going to need it. Brock Purdy is going to need it. The wide receivers are going to need it. The tight ends, all of it. Offensive line is just way too important. I love Genty. I love that running back a lot. And I want him to go to a team that's going to use him 100% and that's ready to use him. And that team that I hate to say this, I hate this team with a passion, but the Dallas Cowboys are the perfect spot for him. They have a relatively really good offensive line, right? They have their quarterback of the future. They have their wide receiver. They have their tight end in Ferguson. They just need a running back. And Genty would be perfect. I can't think of a better place. I really can't. Genty is the perfect spot for the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm just being honest. I fucking hate that team, but reality is that team just deserves it. I know you said draft O-line after, but then you're missing out on possibly Jonas Savania. You're missing out on Calvin Banks, who's going to be top good. You're going to be passing on a really good offensive tackles in a draft that some people say is not the best offensive line draft. So Poggy thinks it's a great offensive line draft, but you need to make offensive line a priority, especially considering that right now you got McKivitz, who's ass. You got Trent Williams, who's becoming washed. He's getting injured all the time. You got a left guard who's probably not coming back in Banks, who's injury prone. You got a terrible center in Brendel, who's regressing. He's old as shit, 33, 34 years old. The only stud you have is the rookie Pooney, who's probably going to have a sophomore slump because, sophomore slump is a thing for a reason. But I just think that offensive line needs to be the number one priority in first round, needs to be the number one priority in free agency. We could pick up a tackle in free agency. We still need to draft an offensive line with the first round pick. Offensive line. Number one. Second, third round, go get not even second round, don't get your running back. Third round, don't get your running back. Fourth round, don't get a running back. Fifth round, sixth, seventh, get a running back if you want at that point, sure. But running back is so far beyond. It's such not a priority, especially for a team that wants to win Super Bowls, play in Super Bowls, and keep their window open. I think drafting a running back over offensive line, heck, even D end or D tackle, heck, even corner, I think would not be a smart thing to do. You're just picking the best player available for a position that you already had filled with CMC that you just gave an extension to, who's still going to be a great back, maybe not the same, but still great, and Isaac Guerrero, who looks like a future 49er for a long time. So I'm just not on board with it. I like Genty, I do, but I just don't see it. Offensive line, man. Offensive line. Cowboys are going to take Mason, in my opinion. I brought that up earlier in the season as well. I do think that Mason would be a good place for the Dallas Cowboys to sign him and then draft Genty, and then you have those two backs, and then you have two great backs ready to go. I just think that the Dallas Cowboys' number one priority is running back. Sign Mason would be dope for them, but O-line's a second thought for this team. I understand what you're saying with that, but they have drafted a few. They've drafted McGlinchey in the first round. They've drafted Banks in the second round. They have drafted Pooney in the third round. They've drafted a couple offensive linemen in the fifth, sixth round. I would say they do draft offensive linemen, right? They just don't draft offensive tackles. They draft guards and centers, and they just don't work out. They drafted Banks, not so well. They drafted McGlinchey, didn't do very well. He's a tackle, right? They drafted Kinsey in the sixth pick, got rid of him. They got Pooney in the third round, looks pretty good. This team does have, I'm not saying they should have put it a priority last year and the year before that, but they do make moves for all the offensive linemen. And out of all the years to not focus on the offensive line, on all the years to focus on the offensive line, it would be this one. And just because a team doesn't believe that an offensive lineman we should draft an offensive lineman, I'm not going to tell you, hey, we should draft a running back instead. I'm not going to be like, hey, because this team does not find offensive lineman a priority, let's just go get a running back and then offensive line second, third. No, I'm going to tell you this team needs an offensive line. This team needs to draft an offensive line first round. I'm going to tell you that. And I do agree that they haven't in the years before. But based on what I'm seeing they picked up Charlie Heck, they picked up Austin Pleasant, they picked up Hennessy, they picked up a few players. I actually think, you could call me crazy, you could call me insane, but I think they might be taking offensive line a little bit serious this year. I think they're going to go into this year treating offensive line seriously. Richard Sherman's been calling for it. Other 49er alumni have been calling for offensive line. Jerry Rice, Steve Young, I think, has been talking about it. Like, if they go into this year not addressing offensive line with the way it is, I can't imagine. I mean, out of all the years to not address it, this would be the most mind-boggling one to not do that. You got the wide receivers. You drafted 2 last year. You got the running back. You got the quarterback. You got the tight end. What else is there to approach on the offense other than the offensive line? You have IU coming back. The offensive line is the biggest priority, and it's glaring. Last year, you could say wide receiver because they had Debo who can't get separation, and the one player who could separate was Ayuk. So you're like, okay, you kind of see why they went wide receiver there. This year, there's no excuse, man. There is no excuse to not think O-line's priority. There is none. Like, I can't – maybe D-end, maybe, but outside of that, nah, dude. Nah, bro. O-line. Steve-O! 5 running backs. Chris Ford said first rounds for playmakers, so we might draft like DN or something. Ah, man, don't say that, dude. But left tackle could be – oh, my God. I hope that's not the case, but what just came to my brain was maybe Forrester was just told, hey, man, we're not drafting offensive tackle in the first round. I would say that maybe he's going off the narrative of what the 49ers do, because the 49ers do tend to get playmakers in the first round. That does seem to be their thing, where they just go for playmakers in the first round. And they've done the tackle thing one time in the first round, and it didn't work out. And they're like, fuck it. We missed out on playmakers that one time, so let's go ahead and just keep getting playmakers in the first round. Maybe that could be his own deduction, or the team, or Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch told him, hey, we're just getting playmakers, and after that we'll do O-line. I hope that's the case. That's all assumption. That's just what came to my head there. Anybody can do great at running back behind a good O-line. Scheme's important too. Like, how good are they in the scheme? Does it fit their scheme? You could have a good O-line and the running back's just not good. I don't know. I kind of disagree with that a little bit, but I mean, if it's I think a great running back or a good running back could do great behind a good offensive line. I think an average running back could do great behind a good offensive line, but I wouldn't say any running back could do great behind a good offensive line. Play Dobbs next couple games. Brock is going to get killed on Monday night. I just talked about it. You totally missed it, but yeah, I agree. I don't think Dobbs should play. I think Dobbs or Allen shouldn't play. I think I'm jumping on the Larry Krueger train here, and I think that Mordecai should play. I want to see what Mordecai can do. Papa J said, Steve-O in the house. Carrot in the house. Brady has said many times that you will not win without a good offensive line. Yeah, he says that a lot, and I totally agree with him. I like when he said that, I hope that was like music to Kyle's ears. That was this year. We'll see what happens for the rest. This offseason is going to be crazy. This offseason is going to be nuts. Because we're either going to be super happy because I feel like every 49ers fan, like 99.9% of 49ers fans are screaming offensive line. So we're going to see what their priority is. Hopefully, if they don't get an offensive lineman in the first round, hopefully they sign a good offensive tackle in the first round, something in free agency to excuse drafting a D-end in the first round. D-end is important. Like, people, D-end is super important right now. There's nobody on the opposite side of Nick Bosa. No one. No one's getting it done. And Leonard Floyd has been getting quiet sacks, and I don't expect him to get better next year. Dude's going to be like 33, 34 years old. Samo is a depth piece pass rusher. Pass rush, and O-line. Trenches is going to be the narrative need for the 49ers next year. Trenches. Do you think Trent could retire? If he does, we need to draft offensive lineman. I don't think he's going to retire. I don't think he wants to retire on this note. I also think that he thinks that he still helped this team, and I still think he believes that he can win a Super Bowl with his team. I still think this team can win a Super Bowl if he comes back and we address the offensive line. The small amount of needs that this team actually needs to get back on its tracks of Super Bowl window is relatively small compared to others after a year. Like, seriously, if this team just gets an offensive line and a D end, I feel like we're set up there. That is just three pieces. A tackle, a center, and a D end. Get those three pieces. I feel like this team is back on track. Obviously, depth is important, but address them as starters. Just get a left tackle, get a tackle, and a center, and a D end. I feel like this team is back in business. So I don't think this team is going – I don't think Trent's going to retire now. I think Trent also believes that this team is close to getting back on track to where it needed to be. And hopefully the injuries don't repeat itself. The rest time that – because the 49ers had the worst rest time in the entire NFL this year, and they dealt the injuries that they had, and some of the pieces that the 49ers signed just didn't work out, and they're all one-year rentals. So hopefully this coming year, we don't get as much injuries. We address the DN center and tackle situation, and hopefully we don't have the worst rest. Keep in mind, we're also playing – my voice is correct. We're playing the Texans. We're playing the AFC South and the NFC South, two of the worst divisions in the NFL next year. So there's a lot of hope. There's a lot of potential next year for this team. Also, this team's not coming off playoff games where they're run into the ground, they're exhausted, they're tired. They're going to get a true rest this offseason, right? There's no Super Bowl hangover, no more Madden curse, no more 17-0 underdog predictions. Hopefully the wrestling, like I said, goes away. The injury bug goes away a little bit because injuries happen to everyone, but not to this level. The holdouts aren't bad. We sign everyone we need to sign, like Brock Purdy, and that's about it. Outside of that, there's really no huge priorities after that. Next year, there's a huge opportunity for this 49ers team to get back on track and get back in the Super Bowl window. It's just all these things that happen outside of their control just cannot happen again. I don't think the Niners will treat O-line seriously. They'll probably draft Aaron Banks' replacement, but that's about it. I think they're going to take it seriously this year. And you can hold me to it. But I feel like the energy is a little bit different with offensive line, especially considering they got Heck, they got Pleasant, and they got Hennessy, people they like. They're testing them out even now, which I think is terrible, putting Brock Purdy about that. But I'm regressing here. I think they understand the offensive line is bad. And they're picking up players off of practice squads to see if they can find some sort of answer. Because if they don't find the answers in these players, I got a feeling they'll be like, okay, these guys obviously are not good enough to start. So next year, let's see what we got in free agency. Let's see what we got in the draft. I actually think they're going to draft maybe a guard, like you said, maybe a guard center, or sign a tackle. So they may draft. I've got a feeling they're going to, like you said, draft maybe an offensive lineman, first 2 rounds, first, second round, an offensive lineman. And then they're going to sign an offensive lineman to start. They're going to get a starter for agency, and they're going to get a starter in the draft, first or second round. Hopefully, because you cannot predict that they're just going to start, but obviously they're going to draft a guy in the draft that they think can start. So it's kind of what they did with Purdy. They thought that Purdy was going to be a starter, and guess what? They were right. They got Purdy. They got the 3rd round pick right. So I think they're going to address this season differently. And I think that a lot of people will look at this team sideways if they come out of free agency in the draft, not picking up at least a top-tier draft prospect and at least a good to average tackle next year. I'm not expecting them to put a shit ton of money into a right tackle, left tackle, highest paid, whatever. I don't expect that. But I do expect them to get a player they think is going to start at right tackle or center and then draft that guy. That's what I think is going to happen. But they might very well use that first round draft pick for a D end. I wouldn't be against that because that is a huge need. And as long as the D end is someone who's going to start right away, you know is going to play really good. And then, like you said, draft a guy in the second or third round that they believe in will start. Great. But I think that would be more justifiable than getting a running back in Genty when you have two running backs who will do great, I think, with at least a good offensive line. Love the hat, Wolf. Thank you. I got it for Christmas. It's like a helmet. I didn't know if they were trying to call me, mentally challenged or not. Like, are you telling me I need a helmet? But no, I like that. Thank you. Appreciate it. I opened it. I was like, oh, shit. It's a dope hat, dude. Yeah, I like this hat too, man. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hey, I hope you had a good upcoming weekend. Just funny stuff. Welcome to the house. I'm just hoping we rest all the stars so nobody gets murdered. Someone's getting murdered, my man. Brock Purdy's playing. Brace yourself, dude. Brock Purdy is going to get ridiculed. People are going to say, see, he sucks. And no one's going to know that Charlie Heck is going to play left tackle, Austin Pleasant's going to play right tackle, and Nick Sakel's going to play left tackle. No one's going to know that. They're just going to see Brock Purdy probably throw some interceptions, probably get sacked a lot, probably throw some desperate passes. And it's going to be all on him. And it's just, see, I told you he sucks. It's going to happen, man. I think Tanner Mordecai needs to play. I think players that you need to see what they got need to play. I'm with Larry Krueger on that. But it's not going to happen. For some reason, like, we're gonna go out there and just get murdered. A lot of teams are just saying they got a line, bro. Oh, my God. Especially against the Lions, I got a feeling they are. I was just talking about this earlier. They are going to do everything in their power to destroy this team. They're going to take the 49ers as serious as possible. They're going to look at this team as if we are the number one seed and we've won every single game, and they're going to keep scoring points after points after points. It's going to be 55-7. They're still going to keep fucking coming at us and just pause. And they're just going to keep scoring and scoring and scoring. They want revenge regardless of the state of the team. So this is going to be crazy. This is going to be an insane. It's going to be insane. It's going to be I'm curious, anxious, but I'm also scared and don't want to see it at the same time. It's literally a car wreck with loved ones in it. It's like, what the fuck? No. It's going to be brutal. Dan Campbell was brilliant. They will be out for blood, Karen. They will be out for blood. They're going to do everything they can to destroy this team. And you know what? A lot of teams want to do that right now. The 49ers were so dominant the past few years. They want to get their revenge. And if there's a time to get your revenge, it's this year. So if there's a year for the 49ers to get their revenge, for a team to get their revenge on 49ers, it's this one. So, and then if the 49ers get good next year, back on track again, they're going to be like, oh, well, we demolished you last year. We destroyed you. And as if it's the same fucking thing. But, yeah, they're going to come out. Might be delusional, but if we draft the right players and address all our needs, we could win the Super Bowl next season considering our easy-ass schedule next year. Yeah, I don't know if it was you that told me one, but someone told me that was really dope information. Playing the AFC South and NFC South, kind of lucked out there. Hopefully our rest isn't as bad. And if we dress the little needs that we need, if we dress the three positions of need for starters, center and tackle, and D-end, and then just pick up some players and hope for the best and depth pieces after that, and then the draft as well, this team, I think, is back on track. I think this team's just missing like a wheel. And the three players that you get in free agency and draft will be a wheel for this team back on track. I don't think you're delusional, man. I think it's realistic. I think some people are just wanting this team to go away because we're so good for so many years. They want this team to stop beating their team. They want – it's kind of like with the Chiefs, how we all want the Chiefs' downfall to happen. We all want the Chiefs to just – okay, this is the year. Oh, my God, they don't got wide receivers like last year. This is the year they're going to fuck up and stumble. It's the same thing with the 49ers. The 49ers are going through this season, not making the playoffs. They're going to our haters are going to want to see that carry over to next year. They're going to want to see their team destroy our team for the next few seasons to come because we destroyed their team. So that's the narrative they're going to push. But reality speaking, if I felt, I'm trying to be truthful here. If I felt like this team, Super Bowl's team was, if I felt this team's Super Bowl window was closed, I would tell you guys. I would be realistic in the sense that, okay, Brock Purdy's got to get paid. We're going to lose this guy. We're going to lose this guy. We're going to lose this guy. Our previous draft sucked. There's no replacements here. There's no options. No. I truly see a window here. I truly see the fact that we're just a few positions away of getting back on track. I think the future's bright for the team. It just looks doom and gloom because of the situation we're in. Right? It's easy to be negative when everything's going wrong. It's easy to be positive, like delusional too at that, when everything is going wrong. Being like, hey, everything's great. Everything's great. But being logical, putting your emotions away, putting yourself in the middle, because there's some fans out there like, I'm still a 49ers fan. I'm still going to root for them, and I'm going to say nothing but positive shit no matter what. Then there's also like the reality of things. Like, hey, how's everything reality going? And the reality is this team is still set up for the future. This team has amazing drafts. We've gone through it before. I think there's 11 to 15 players that are going to be here that are good in 2027, 2026. So, it's there. Put your emotions away. It's easy to be negative when everything's going wrong. It's easy to miss the light at the end of the tunnel when everything's dark, to not look that way and just be like, hey, we suck, and just keep looking away from the darkness. But when you see that light and there's a possibility, and that everything that could have gone wrong for this team did go wrong, history repeating itself would be highly unlikely. And honestly, if the injuries didn't happen to this team, if the rest that happened to this team didn't happen, this team would probably go to the playoffs. Would it not? If Ayuk was the same, if CMC was the same, do you think that we'd be in the playoffs right now? If Trent never got hurt, if we never lost Greenlaw, would we have won the Super Bowl? We're getting those players back, getting them back healthy, where the luck repeating itself is highly unlikely, especially since we're going to be facing the AFC and NFC South. Winning the Super Bowl at home would be amazing. That would be dope. Do you think Sorensen comes back if he does fairly well in the next two games? Yes. I actually do think he comes back. Unless Robert Saleh is like, hey, I'm going to come back to the Niners. I think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch stick with Nick Sorensen. And I've said this before. He is a rookie defensive coordinator. I'm not trying to make excuses like, hey, we got a Super Bowl window to take care of and stuff. But through everything that happened with this team, I think that even with Robert Saleh or what's his name? Wiltz. What's his name? The defensive coordinator we had last year. I don't even think they would have done well with this team. I think it would have been just as bad. Maybe even worse. I don't know. But I can tell you that Nick Sorensen has shown flashes of greatness. There's been moments of Nick Sorensen where you're like, okay, that was a pretty good stop considering what they had on defense. That was a pretty good quarter considering what they had on defense. Like, you see it. You see potential in Nick Sorensen. And he is a rookie working with peanuts. All right. He's working with inconsistent players. He's working with constant changes, right? More so than any other defensive coordinator, right? So I do think Nick Sorensen comes back. I think he should. And I know people may not agree with me on this, but I think he should come back because you just be starting over with some other project defensive coordinator who's got to go through rookie pains, etc. The only person I'd be happy about bringing in is if you brought back Robert Saleh. Outside of that, I can't really think of anybody else that you could bring in. If Robert Saleh wanted to come back, I would take him. But Nick Sorensen, I think, deserves another year. Let's see what he's got. But if he's ass with very little to no injuries next year and he's ass, then he's got no excuses. If he allows 10-point comebacks in the fourth quarter again to division rivals and the injuries are not that bad and he looks like his old rookie self, then yeah, he's got to go. But I've seen greatness with this guy. I've seen some potential with Sorensen. I think there's something there. And I think unless there's a for sure guaranteed better defensive coordinator out there, and the only one I can think of is Robert Saleh. If you guys got one, let me know. But the only one I can think of is Robert Saleh. I think we keep him. And I also think that if we do get Robert Saleh, Nick Sorensen, if he's humble enough, will be like, hey, I'm going to learn under him. Let Robert Saleh take over. I'll become the assistant defensive coordinator, and I will learn from him. Because I would love that. I would love for him to learn from Robert Saleh. I wouldn't be against it. Because we all know that if Robert Saleh comes back, he's going to turn this defense back into elite defense. If Robert Saleh comes back, we're going to have elite defense again. Like, I'm so confident in that he's going to become a head coach again. Someone's going to want him to be a head coach. So why not Nick Sorensen, who you want to be a defensive coordinator someday, learn under one of the best defensive coordinators that Kyle Shanahan's ever had. One of the best I've ever seen. Right? So I'm all for it. If we stay in last place in the NFC West, we will face our division NFC South, AFC South, the Bears, Downs, Giants. Well, then, hey, to last place in the West. To last place. Well, and that would be a sweet schedule, says Papa J. 110%, Papa, 110%. Losing is very important now. We need to be last place in NFC West to make our schedules as we will have our higher draft picks. Yep, true. Like, I'm not against players trying because that's for culture. That's for getting valuable reps in there. It's for your game check. As a player, as a team, I would love for them to try. But if they lost, I wouldn't cry about it. I wouldn't be upset. Better pick, potentially. Obviously, the better schedule, like you said, better opportunity next year. So I still want the players to try. I still want to see them win. But I'm taking the huge W of the loss, right? If that makes sense. I think we get massacred by the Lions and beat the Cardinals. That is a sweet schedule. I think that we're going to get destroyed by the Lions. Ben Johnson is an incredible offensive coordinator. Such a good offensive coordinator in my mind. And he's going to find ways to pick apart this decimated defensive line where you got Nick Bosa, who's like 50% Nick Bosa. You know what I mean? So the Lions are going to destroy the 49ers. I'm bracing myself for that. The only thing I'm going to keep my eye on and really just watch is Brock Purdy, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt. And then maybe pay attention to some rookies and see what they bring to the table. Like Mustafa's going to play. You got rookies out there that are playing that I still want to see get those reps and see how they do. So there's still things to watch out for in these games. But yeah, it's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. Despite knowing we're going to lose and get destroyed, there's still things I'm going to want to see, right? One, it's a great way to think about it business-wise, but that is a weak way to go out. I think both agreed. Terror Dome in the house! Good to see you, good to see you, good to see you. Hey, Terror Dome has a podcast, guys. If you guys like 49ers, check him out. Check him out. He's a good guy, But in the sports, do you want an easy schedule, or is it better to play good competition? You want to play the best to beat the best? Yeah, I want to see these players try still, right? I want to see the players try, but as a fan, I'm not going to cry if we lose and get a better draft pick. Or a better schedule next year, right? Like there's two things can be true here. Two things can be true. You want to see the best of your players. You want to see the players constantly try for the culture, for the team. You don't want to see a poor product out there, especially a team that you represent puts out a poor product. That's embarrassing. Like I'm wearing this 49ers hat right now, and if they go out there and they don't fucking try or they don't look like they're putting in some effort, that is embarrassing as a fan. But if they lose, I guess what? Two things can be true, man. We get a better draft pick. So, reminds me of the Bible, Daniel going to the Lions den. Yes, spitting on fire, man, spitting on fire. You the man, represent. Papa J is OG, dog. Papa J is OG. King Mufasa, let's win this one. If we beat the Lions, man, okay, so I know we just said that we should lose out. Like, if we lose out, it's great. But could you imagine if we still beat the Lions? If we still beat the Lions despite everything, despite the offensive line being just cones picked up off the side of the road this week, like, that would be crazy, dude. That would deflate the Lions. And I'm not going to lie to you. I'll laugh my ass off. because the Lions are coming into this game to absolutely destroy us. And if we beat them, I'm taking it for what it's worth. I'm taking it for what it's worth. Oh, my God. Wolfie sounds too much like Wright. Kyle is going to mess up around and draft like a long snapper, wide receiver 1, 2, running back 1, 2, 3. Under 10%, man. I hope not. Luckily enough, this team does a very good job of drafting the third, fourth, and fifth rounds. Luckily, they have that. Usually teams rely on the top part of it, first, second, and third round. This team, oddly enough, if they could just figure out their first round woes, if they could just figure out their first and second round woes, this team would be set up, dude. This team would look a lot better than it does now. And last year, it was fantastic. If this team could just figure out its fucking, it's like what I think Larry Krueger counted it. We had like 9 first rounders and like 7 of them didn't work out. 2 of them being Nick Bosa and Ayuk. Ayuk, you could almost say doesn't count because he's not doing so well this year. So if this team can just figure out the issue they have with their scouting prospects in the first round, God, this team would be so much better than it is right now. This team would just, thank God they're good at third and fourth and fifth round picks and undrafted players. Thank God. Because if they weren't, the Super Bowl window would be closed this year. If they weren't, this Super Bowl window would be closed this year and for years to come. But thankfully, this team knows how to draft in the later rounds at the back end of day 2. Have they had some bad moments in the third, fourth, and fifth round? Yeah, they've had some bad moments, but every team does. But for the most part, they nail those picks. And if they can continue to do that, this team's fine. This team's great. Hey, we're showing some love. That's why I say God's going to prove he's smarter than all you football people. I fucking hope so, man. But he is putting out Brock Purdy. Tara, he is putting Brock Purdy. I got to criticize him for that because I don't agree with it. I think it's dangerous putting Brock Purdy out there with a paper offensive line. Like, these players could be good, man. Heck could be a good. Pleasant could be good. Like, for all we know, Zakel could be good, right? But when it comes to offensive line, you're playing together. It is a cohesion position, right? It is a position that they need to practice together with consistently, right? They need to trust each other. And to do that, to get that cohesion within 5 days and one with a week and a half, it's very unlikely, and it's very likely that Brock Purdy is going to get murdered. I'm sorry, he's going to die on live television. He got his ass beat last week against the Dolphins, man. Moody going to miss the kick line, Charlie Brown Sunday, probably. That's a good segue because we could jump into the Moody thing. Let me drink some water. My voice is dying. Well, I got some comments. Let me try and get these comments real quick. I'm going to have to give you back that golden frying pan. I don't know what that's about, but hey, if it's for something, for how bad the season is, then yeah, you got to give it back. Losing BMC to say Dre killed us. In the Super Bowl, losing Dre was bad. Losing Dre Greenlaw. Dre Greenlaw, man, I know he's out for the rest of the season because he should rest. You know, and if he is resting, it sounds to me that he's probably going to come back because he didn't exactly earn a top dollar contract. So I can see Dre coming back on a cheaper contract, really. But Dre, dude, being out there, Dre Greenlaw being out there in the field, man, you could see the defense. You could see the difference that dude makes. The aura, the vibe, the life, the players even talk about it, man. It's something rare that a player has where that one person being in there, everything changes. Dre Greenlaw is always the right place at the right time on defense. I know he's injury prone at this point. It's kind of something you can argue, but he's just so damn good. He's just so good. I got a good feeling about next. Same here, man. Same here. Hey, Steve Wilkes. Yeah, that's who it was. Steve Wilkes. Yeah. Saleh is helping Green Bay. May not want to come back. We'll see. I know that Saleh went to go help his best friend. Because I know I can't. It's not Mike McDaniel. Is it Mike McDaniel? I can't remember the first name of the head coach for the Packers right now. But He's best friends with him. And I could see him wanting to go to the Packers to get revenge on Aaron Rodgers, where Aaron Rodgers pretty much treated him like shit. So I think he went to the Packers for a lot more than just, hey, I believe in this team more than the 49ers. I think he went back to help Green Bay because he hates Aaron Rodgers that much. If he wins a Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers as they are, that would be a huge slap in Aaron Rodgers' face. So I think there's a lot more incentive for Robert Saleh to be with the Green Bay Packers. But next year, they may or may not take him. But you're all right. There's a possibility he's going to stay with the Green Bay Packers and be the defensive coordinator for that team. We'll see. But hopefully we can pry him. If we can't pry him for the Green Bay Packers, I think we keep Nick Sorensen. I don't think Sorensen will be fired. I think he should, but honestly don't know who can replace him exactly. You don't know who's going to replace him. At that point, it's just like you might as well go through those rookie pains and hopefully he's learned his lesson. Because, again, there's been some bright spots. Like you can see potential in Nick Sorensen. Saleh didn't have an official role with Green Bay, I think it was just advisory. Yeah, it's advisory. It's just like he's an assistant defensive coordinator or some shit. Boo, says Jake, etc. What up, dude? Welcome to the channel, bruh. If Saleh comes back and he does well, then we're going to lose him head coaching job somewhere else. If Sorensen stays and learns from, he'll take back the DC job the following year, in my opinion. Yeah, I think so too. Exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth. Lions playing for the number 1 seed. Worry about that Purdy's health. Yeah, dude. Purdy's going to get obliterated. Terradome is the great 49ers content creator. Check him out, guys. Yes, do it. The one that shall not be named said the other day that he thinks Kyle is in charge of the first round while the front office does everything else. It could explain the big discrepancy in our draft picks, but I don't know. It's just hate. That is an opinion piece. Like, yeah, I think it would make sense for him to have that decision, but we don't know the dynamic of who picks what in the first round. Like, evidence-wise, show me evidence that Kyle is the one that makes that pick, right? There's no evidence of that. You can make the argument he's the head coach, he makes most decisions, blah, blah, but there is no evidence. You don't know if it's an actual thing between Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, right? Or they could have a philosophy of, hey, let's just draft, like Juan said, let's just draft playmakers in the first round, and they just suck at drafting playmakers in the first round. That happens. But without evidence, without proof, you're just saying your opinion at that point, and then people just roll with it. What up? If we beat the Lions, I'll take everything back I said about Kyle for 2 weeks, dude. You said a lot of shit, too. What did I miss? We talked about Brock Purdy and how he's going to get obliterated behind a papier-mâché offensive line. Jake, I know you're a Jags fan. I think you're a Jags fan. I could be wrong. But you also like the Eagles. I noticed that. But Brock Purdy is going to have Charlie Heck, who we just picked up from the practice squad, on Christmas Eve. We picked up Austin Pleasant a week and a half ago off the practice squad. And then we have just trash offensive line. The offensive line is going to be the worst offensive line we've ever seen. So, Jake, expect to see Brock Purdy get his ass beat. He's going to get destroyed. Jake, you missed a lot, but no stripper, so not much at the same time. Yeah. I did take off my hat, so that kind of counts. Matt LaFleur is the Packers. There we go, Matt LaFleur. It's croissant. It's croissant, not croissant. You guys saw that TikTok where, like, I'm getting off topic here, but, like, French people were complaining about how, like, it's not croissant, it's croissant. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm not saying croissant. Everywhere I go, it's croissant. How much longer is Saleh collecting money from the Jets? For a while, dude. I think he had like 4 years left on his contract. What's up, Sam in the house? Filthy Casual in the house. I agree with you about preserving Brock, but at the same time, I think it's good to put Brock out there to let him figure out things out when playing in chaos. Oh man, I know what you mean, like chaos, but I feel like he's done that all year. I feel like he's been playing in the chaos all year, and that this kind of chaos is going to be different. This kind of chaos is going to get him murdered. It's not like, okay, what can you do when your wide receivers can't get open, no separation? What can you do when when you have a below average running back out there, like things of that nature, I understand. But like this offensive line, dude, is paper mache. It's going to be brutal. Like normally I agree with you, Papa, on like he should play anyway. If he had Trent out there, or not even Trent, but just at least some kind of offensive line, like Jalen Moore was still out there, Banks was still out there, McKivitz, all that, I'd be like, okay, yeah, he should still be out there and play. But he has like fourth string players who just picked up from the practice squad who have no cohesion out there. It's just, he's gonna die, dude. He's gonna die. Just popping in to tell you, Papa, I made a Fred Warner edit you requested, and Wolfie, maybe watch it. It's good. I'll check it out, man. I'll write that down right here. Sam edit. Sam Fam edit. Fred Warner. That's a good. Hey, picked a good player too, man. I'll write that down. Check it out. Someone else, Bengals fan. That's right, Bengals. You got Joe Burrow, dude. Joe Burrow is hot. He's a good guy, man. He's fucking good, dude. Well, I guess he's supposed to be like. Never mind, take that back. He's supposed to be like Cool Joe or some shit. So I guess he's not hot. He's no, that's still a hot sound. What's a frozen sound? What's a cold sound? I don't know. But you get the point. He's a really good quarterback. Dude's a stud. Check it out right after the show. Okay. Meant to say I'm going back to check it out right after the show. All stuff for sure. Hope Bengals reach the playoffs. Imagine they upset the Chiefs. That'd be sick. I think they could do it, man. I mean, they need a lot. They need a few things to go their way. But honestly, I'm a big fan of Joe Burrow. I love him in press conferences. I think he's funny at the same time. He's a good leader. He doesn't really talk shit about his team. Doesn't throw teammates on the bus. Quality guy at the podium. Makes insane plays after insane plays. I understand he has Jamar Chase, T. Higgins out there, but like you can tell, even though he's got the weapons, he still makes throws and crazy plays. You know, you can still see it despite the weapons that he has. It's like, it's him. I was rooting for Detroit to get the number one seed in the NFC, so I was happy about the Eagles allowing the TV to the Commanders. Yeah, I mean, I still want Detroit to win the Super Bowl. Like, I understand that Detroit hates the 49ers. They want to destroy the 49ers. I understand there's going to be some sort of, like, animosity there. But as a 49ers fan, I don't fucking care in that sense. Like, hey, man, I understand where the hate comes from. We beat your team last year, so I understand where it comes from. It depends how the fans react after the game, of course. It depends upon if they give me ammunition or if they give me a reason to be like, all right, well, fuck you guys. I don't want to wish the best for you. If they do that, then I won't root for them. But I do understand why they want to beat us so badly. I do understand where they're coming from. Where, honestly, 50 years of mediocrity, they just went to their second NFC championship last year. And if they win a Super Bowl, that means the Chiefs don't win it, the Rams don't win it, the Eagles don't win it, the Seahawks don't win it. It means a lot of things, right? So I just hope that the Lions do not give me a reason to hate them. Give me a reason to vote against them. But as of right now, I kind of want them to win it. I agree as well. There is no upside for Brock behind the makeshift offense. That's a good point. That's a good way of putting it, Terradome. These last couple games, and if he gets injured, haters are going to talk about durability issues to give him another strike. Exactly. He's going to be, yeah. You're spitting hot fire, Terry. Spitting hot fire. Oh, yeah, one, but we'd have to play with Josh Allen first. It's true. Sam, you got good editing talent, homie. Yep. I pinned it, so it's okay. Joe Cool. That's right, Joe Cool. If Kyle really wanted to win head start at QB, the Lions didn't prepare for like the Pastronaut or Mordecai, but Kyle gonna Kyle. Yeah, that's true. I'm not on board or as hateful as like Papa J level, but after this press conference of finding out because we haven't talked about Moody yet. We haven't even got to the Moody thing, but the fact that he's going to put who he wants to pay millions of dollars to in harm's way. I mean, like it doesn't get any more dangerous than this. Is really irresponsible. It's just too much. It's too much for me to defend. It's too much for me to be like, all right, man, It's okay. He knows what he's doing. I'm sorry. I'm not on board with that. I'm going to criticism for this. I do not like this decision at all. So, hope he throws 10 TDs versus Pittsburgh. I hate the Steelers. That's like one of my top 3 hated teams. I hate the Steelers a lot, man. Showing some love. Yeah. Lions are still young. They're going to be a problem for 49ers for a long time. Hey, might be a rivalry coming out. Maybe. How come no one says Joe Burrow as the Avengers with Chase Higgins like they do Brock? He's a first-round draft pick, first overall. He was elite in LSU, won a championship there. He has a high pedigree, so everyone's going to look at it because draftism is a new word that's been created, and I do agree with the word here. It's draftism. Joe Burrow is always going to get, and I know, no offense, Jake, but even if I don't even think, like, because I do think Joe Burrow is great. I still think he's good, right? But if he was bad and he had the weapons that he had and he still kind of played relatively well, people will still think he's elite, the greatest quarterback ever, because he's a first-round draft pick. Because I talked about this earlier, people put their name on things, and when reporters, influencers, content creators, sports analysts put their name on stuff, they have to stand on business. They have to take that criticism, so they feel they need to defend it. While Brock Purdy, no one talked about Brock Purdy. No one put their name on it. No one stood on business with him. So they don't feel the need to defend him. However, Joe Burrow, people are like, he's the greatest quarterback. He's going to win multiple Super Bowls. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And people are going to take victory laps. Same thing with Sam Darnold. That's what's happening to Sam Darnold right now. People are going to say, I told you. It just took 8 years. Colin Cowherd, just saying. It took 8 years for me to be right about Sam Darnold. It's because they're standing on business. Because they want to be right. You know? This is how it is. You're right, Wolfie. Putting Brock out there against the Lions might not be a good idea. Just such a weekend. Maybe if it was Arizona or somebody else would be better. If it was Arizona, I'd probably be a lot more lenient towards it. But the Lions literally want to destroy us from the inside out. Like I feel like if they were to hurt Purdy, I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying it's justified because that's bad, but I feel like they would be like, you know what? Yeah, we heard him. We're good. We got on that line. We destroyed him. He's weak. You know, like they have that adrenaline going. They're going to be proud of it. Almost, you know? Maybe not talk shit after the game. Hey, wish him the best. Don't want to hurt him, stuff like that. But in game, I promise you, they're going to want to destroy every part of this team. So when do you think the Chiefs dynasty will end? Maybe it might be delusional once again, but I think they will last for another 5 years. I hate to say this, but as long as they have Andy Reid, as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, I think they're always going to be in it. Though Patrick Mahomes is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and Andy Reid is one of the greatest head coaches of all time. It's literally Bill Belichick, Tom Brady all over again. As long as you have those two, it's always going to happen, especially if their defensive coordinator, Steve Spagnuolo, stays with the team. As long as those three stick around, I'm sorry, man, it's going to be here for years to come. This team is going to be a threat for years to come. They might have – let me kind of take that – let me come back a little bit. They might have a dud period, right, where they might have like 2, 3, 4 years of dud periodness, because like the Patriots had that, right? They had they still made the playoffs, right, but they weren't as good or anything. They had moments where they just weren't the guy, right? They just weren't the team anymore, but they were still in it. I feel like the Chiefs are going to be the same way. Like they're going to have like a 3 or 4 year period where things aren't going to go right. They're going to lose in a wild card maybe, or losing the AFC Championship. That's still incredible, by the way. But there's going to be a period where they're going to have some dud moments. But as of right now, dynasty, absolute dynasty. But if you want to talk, I guess if you're talking about this dynasty, like this dynasty in particular with the defense they had, because like the Patriots have different kinds of dynasty. They have like the early dynasty where they went to 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. Then they had the dynasty later on in the 2010s. So they're kind of like 2 separate dynasties. That might happen with the Chiefs. Soft victory of draft bias never ceases to amaze. It's always going to happen. Same thing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady won 3 Super Bowls, and they still called him a system quarterback. They called him a game manager still. They didn't think he was the greatest. It literally took Tom Brady 5, 6 Super Bowls to prove that he was the greatest quarterback of all time. So, Brock Purdy, as long as he's a 7th round draft pick, and he will have this stigmatism against him for years and years to come. Even if we win a Super Bowl, it's going to happen. Draft doesn't exist with Brock. CJ or Love have bad games, and it's crickets. Yep. Except for this year, CJ is getting kind of like what everyone's saying, the sophomore slump, so he gets a pass. But Brock Purdy, even though like this would be Brock Purdy's sophomore slump, even though like any quarterback would do terrible with the situation he's had right now, but just coming back to it, Poggy said it best. If anything, this is his sophomore year because he didn't start his rookie season until like week 13, week 14 or something. And like you could argue last year was really his rookie year. And then this year is a sophomore slump. So last year when Browning had that insanity run, a lot were calling Burrow overrated. That's true. I know Browning was like, oh my God, he's so good. And then he came back to earth a little bit towards the end of the season. And I'm not saying I was saying the same thing. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, maybe Joe Burrow's not as good as I thought he was. But you're right. Linsanity is a real thing, man. Like, it's kind of what Joshua Dobbs did with the Vikings. Joshua Dobbs came in for the Vikings, played great for 4 games, played outstanding for 4 games. People were talking about him being the future of the future quarterback of the Vikings. And then he came back to earth. Sometimes it happens. A backup quarterback just has this incredible run, has these 3-4 games of just crazy play, and then they come back down to earth. It happens. Pets had a decade-long dud after the repeat. Yeah, they had like a dud, and then they came back and had another dynasty. KC dynasty is not ending with Spags, Pat, and Andy. Yeah, it's just as long as those 3 stick around. Yeah. Venom Energy is a sign language shame against insults, guilt, and need to be right. Kevin Samuels. I don't know who that Kevin Samuels is. I don't know who that is. All right, so let's talk about the one last thing, and then we'll bounce because this is an hour and 12 minute show. Appreciate you guys. I got to make some dinner, but we'll talk about this real quick. I can't believe this. And this is another thing where I'm pushing back and kind of like, I can't believe you fucking said this, dude. He says that Moody is the right guy for the job. How can you say that, dude? Oh my God. I don't know how you could say that. Like, pick better words. I understand that you defend your guy. I'm all for you defending your guy. But you got to give the fan base something and being like, well, you know, if anything, we might have him compete next year, but I believe in him. I still think he can do it, but he's definitely got to compete next year. There's things you can say where you're not throwing someone under the bus, but at the same time being real. There's things you can say, right? Like, I don't expect him to say, yeah, Moody's shit. He absolutely sucks. He ruined us, and we're going to trade him next year. You know, it's like that. But to say that he's the right guy, oh my God, dude. That's so crazy, dude. I'm sorry. I better see a kicker next year that seriously competes for the job. He can say this, right? He can say that Jake Moody's the right guy. But I better see moves that say the other thing. I better see him bring in kicker after kicker after kicker that could take his job. I need to see that next year. I cannot see us be complacent and be like, I hope he's good next year. No, you need to bring in competition. That's what I want to see. So if you're saying this and you're freaking me out, I'm holding on to hope that you're just saying this shit so you're not the guy that throws people under the bus, and that next year your action says another, and that you're actually treating this as a real competition for the kicker. Because my God, last year, not very good, man. This year, not very good, man. That is 2 not very good years in a row for a kicker. I understand you drafted him in the 3rd round, but after 2 years, that's a pretty good sample size. And let's say you cut him this offseason and he plays phenomenal for another team. Nobody, and I mean no one, would have any leg to stand on to say, man, we really should have kept Moody. Nobody. There's not one 49ers fan, heck, non-49ers fans, that thinks he should still have a job next year. So if you cut him, and he's phenomenal somewhere else, nobody, and I better not hear it from that one person that shall not be named, say, man, we really should have kept Moody. See, Kyle's dumb. Shut up. Because you sure as hell wanted him gone too. I know for a fact. So if he goes and plays somewhere else phenomenal, guess what? He's just phenomenal there. He's just better there. He just happened to be. Because for 2 years of playing just absolute, it's like he's playing Call of Duty with one eyeball. Okay, he's playing Call of Duty with one joystick. He goes so far to the left, goes so far to the right. He never goes down the middle. Rarely does the ball go down the middle. I swear to God, it's like every time he kicks, it's as if he aims for the post. Every single time. And it's just sometimes, man, a player just plays somewhere else better. So if he gets cut, nobody on the fucking planet Earth has any right to say that Kyle, John Lynch, you were dumb to cut him. 49ers were dumb to cut him. Because everyone on the planet knows damn well this guy, for the past 2 years, has been utter shit. Has been utter crap at his job. So, to hear we got the right guy really hurts. So I better see next year. Next year, I better see competition after competition for that position and not have Moody get complacent. Oh, thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you getting my back. So I guess I'll just go to next year and hopefully I do better. No, I want to see you fucking try. I want to see you compete. I don't give a fuck if you're a third-round draft. We got rid of, what's his name? Who did we get rid of? We got rid of running backs we drafted in the third round. We got rid of that tight end at the end of the third round. I can't think of his name. Latu? I'm sorry. Moody's playing on the level of Latu. Get rid of him then. It's the equivalent of that, man. You've bitten the bullet before on third-round draft picks. You could bite the bullet on this one. So that's my opinion on that. That's my opinion on that. No one gets to say shit if Moody plays great somewhere else. Because you're sure as hell not saying he's good now and he will be good later. There's not one fucking person that believes that. I'm sorry. No one. He's lost us games, people. He has lost us games. All right. I argued for 20 years about the GOAT more than the system QB. Yeah. I didn't think he was the greatest quarterback of all time until the fourth Super Bowl, which was 2016, 2017. I didn't think he was. That is like a decade plus of playing great. So it's the same thing that's going to happen with Brock Purdy. Moody needs to go. Bye-bye. Yep. Some players just play better on other teams, just like some coaches play better on other teams, like also Kyle. Bob J's I had to get that in there. It's possible. I mean, it happened with Andy Reid. Andy Reid got fired from the Eagles, plays phenomenal now with the Chiefs. He's one of the greatest head coaches of all time. It happens. It happens. But I still think we should keep him, though, because Kyle's performed. Jake Moody has never performed. Ever. Priest will be. Hey. Baker, Geno, Sam all playing better than on other teams. That's true. That's true. And sometimes that happens, man. It just happens. So, and the reason why I'm saying if he plays better than other teams, because I was watching Larry Krueger's show talk about it. He was saying he thinks that Kyle is afraid of his potential because he thinks he's going to be an elite kicker and that he will be an elite kicker. But my first reaction was that, well, then just let him be that kicker there. Let him be that kicker there because he's not that kicker here. You cannot hang on potential. And that is just his opinion, by the way. That is not a fact, by the way. Not a fact. That's just an opinion. So, his opinion is that's what he thinks. And going based off that, my reaction to that is then go, guess what? Play great somewhere else because you're playing like shit here. Kevin dropped too. Yeah, he's so bad. Dude, okay, I know I got to get out of here because I got to make dinner and stuff and do other things right now. But Cameron Latu, dude, I'll never forget it. He caught a pass. He just caught a wide open pass. The team was elated for him. They were excited for him, dude. They were celebrating for him. You got a pass! yeah. Latu was like, yeah, I did it. Because he caught a pass that was wide open, dude. I'll never forget. Like, are we celebrating this seriously, dude? What the fuck? Oh, that was good. Yeah, that's crazy. All right, 2014 was Bray's fourth. No Russ. Don't throw that. I know, dude. He threw that ball. That was crazy, bro. I'll never forget it. Okay, so I know I just said I'd leave, but I want to give my quick opinion on that Super Bowl. My family are Seahawk fans. My entire family in Washington State are Seahawk fans. So I'm sitting there in the living room, standing with my arms on my hips, looking at the TV screen. My brother sitting in his chair, my dad in his chair and on his couch, just going like, yeah, we're going to win the Super Bowl. Give it to Lynch. They're all super, super excited, man. When Curse made that catch, that jumble catch, I was like, oh my God, dude, Russ Magic. They're just going to win a Super Bowl again, back to back. Are you serious, dude? I thought they were going to win, dude. I was like, oh my God, just get in this end zone already. Whatever, dude. Marshawn Lynch gets the ball. They go to like the 1-2 yard line or whatever. I was like, Marshawn Lynch is just unstoppable. They're going to score. It's whatever. I was like, fuck, I got to deal with my family being a 49ers fan and shit like that. I was just so devastated. And then when I saw Russell Wilson not give it, when I saw Marshawn Lynch go off to the left in a pass, and I saw Russ just drop back, I was like, in slow motion, dude. It was like in slow motion, just like this, and I was like, what? I was like, he didn't get the ball. What the fuck? And when he threw it, and keep in mind, Russell Wilson was going to throw this ball no matter what, because he did not make a read. He did not look at it. He just hiked it and was going to throw it. Apparently, this was, I'm not trying to get a lesson, but apparently Malcolm Butler said this was a key play that they constantly used on the goal line all the time throughout the year. And that's why Malcolm Butler knew to cut inside there and get the interception. Incredible play. Still, that's why you study film. You see those tendencies. Anyway, Russell Wilson just throws it right at him. I started doing push-ups, dude. I was so ecstatic, dude. I felt like a Patriots fan. I was doing push-ups. I was like, yes. I was so excited. And then I went to sleep. I woke up the next day, and my dad was on the couch in the same exact spot. The next day, he was in the same exact spot going, we didn't give it to Lynch. Like, we didn't give it to Lynch. And he was just so devastated, dude. Oh, I was like, yes. Greatest. All right. I know I just went on a whole other thing, but that was my experience with the worst play call in NFL history. Super Bowl NFL history. The worst play call in NFL history. And I'm glad it's a division rival. I'm glad it went to a team that at the time was going on a dynasty run. And if they got that back-to-back Super Bowl, you can argue that they were a dynasty at the time. And the Patriots just snatched it from them. And it made me so happy. I was like, yes! I went into work like the next day just talking so much shit. No one liked me, man. No one liked me. Oh, my God. What makes you a 49ers fan? I'll try to make this quick. I liked football, but I didn't get truly into football until 2005, the year that we were shit, and then we drafted Alex Smith and everything went to hell. I digress. I asked my mom, and my mom at the time did not like, well, at the time still did. My mom did not like my dad, like hated my dad. And I was like, what team should I go for? Like, what's our team? You know, she could have said Seahawks. I could be a Seahawks fan right now. My mom's dad was actually a Steelers fan. I could be a Steelers fan right now. And my mom's like, you know what? We're 49ers fans. We grew up 49ers fans. My dad's a 49ers fan. I'm a 49ers fan. And she was like, I think she did it out of spite. And I found out years later that's how I found out years later that actually my mom's dad was a Steelers fan. And so I just So I feel like I became a 49ers fan out of my mom's spite for my dad. So that's how I feel like it happened. But yeah, I liked football, but I wasn't into it growing up. But I won't say I was a true 49ers NFL fan until 2005. Yeah, man, no doubt, no doubt. Bill Belichick was ready for it. He was, dude. He was, man. Insane. Absolutely insane. Great time. But thankfully, you didn't become an annoying Pittsburgh fan. I know, dude. Honestly, I don't even like their colors. I don't like the black and yellow. I hate the black. I don't like the steel curtain. I don't like the logo. I don't like anything about that team, really. Honestly, just not a fan. If she told me Steelers, I probably wouldn't have been a Steelers fan just because I think it was the year prior, or was it that year where Seattle with Matt Hasselbeck, Sean Alexander, I think it was actually the 2006 Super Bowl, so that would be the 2005 season. So I wouldn't have had animosity towards the Steelers at the time. So I probably would have been a Steelers fan at the time, actually. But the reason why I hated the Steelers is because I didn't have the biggest hate towards the Seahawks fan at the time. Just got into football, became obsessed with it, and I wanted my family to be happy, so I went for the Seahawks. And to this day, man, I swear to God, they cheated. That Super Bowl looked like was the most riggedest Super Bowl I've ever fucking seen in my entire life, dude. Like, that was insane to me. They did not want Seattle to win. They got to get Pittsburgh that Super Bowl. I swear to God, dude. And then I went for the Arizona Cardinals to win their first Super Bowl of Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh had 5, and if they won, then they would have 6 over 49ers. So I wanted the Arizona to win. Steelers ended up winning that, so I ended up hating the Steelers even more so. So I just have a lot of reasons to hate the Steelers. And it's not even because of 49ers account. It's because they beat the Seahawks and the Cardinals, which is weird. But all right, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to get out of here. I got to make some food, got to make some dinner, and then walk the dog, and then pass the fuck out, probably read a book. Right now I'm reading Shadow and Bone. If you guys care about reading, I'm reading Shadow and Bone. About 50 pages left in it. It's a pretty good book. I like it. It's a little romantic-y, but you know, some books are just how it is. Anyway, good bounce. Gonna get out of here. Thank you so much, Papa J. You're the best mod a channel can ask for. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for being part of this, man. Terradome, thank you so much for joining me, man. Everyone, check out Terradome and his podcast and his channel. He goes live all the time. Check him out. He makes good content. He has good opinions. Jake, thank you so much for being part of this conversation, man. Part of this live. You helped make it better, dude, for sure. And good luck with your Bengals, man. I wish you guys the best in the playoffs. Karen, always good to have you. Always good to have you. You're not like your other Karens out there. You're like a cool Karen. All right. So appreciate you having around. Juan, as always, appreciate you and your opinions. Even though we don't agree all the time, man, I appreciate you disagree. You come in here and you spit your opinion, man. I always appreciate it. Always do. Filthy, as always, man. Thank you so much. Samuel, Fam Gamer. I'll check out your video, man. You make excellent edits. If you guys like video edits, check out Samuel, Fam Gamer. He's really good at his job. Really good at doing that. I guess a job at some point. I'm sure he wants it to be. So there's that. Who else is in here? King Mufasa, always, of course, always good to see you. Even though it's brief, still good to see you. Steve-O, always good to see Steve-O. Appreciate him jumping in, supporting the channel. Just funny stuff. Always good to see you too, man. I see you like once a week, maybe. I still appreciate it. Every little bit counts. Val, oh my God, I forgot to say hi to Val, dude. Oh my God, big L on my part, guys. Ooh, my God, big L on my part. I did not say what's up to Val. My bad. She's OG. Thank you so much. Appreciate you joining the channel. My bad for missing you. Good to see you. Debo Prods, you as well, man. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I really do hope Brock Purdy does not get murdered on Monday, but I will have a Wolfie and Poggy show, by the way, on Sunday. There will be a Wolfie Poggy show at 9 a.m. We're probably going to talk more draft prospects. We've been watching some film, talking back and forth on that. We're not going to do another mock draft, probably not until next month. We're just going to talk draft prospects, predictions, and just things around the NFL and teams that we're going to go for in the Super Bowl. We're going to talk about the teams that we want to win in the playoffs and teams we want to lose in the playoffs. and who we think is going to have the best chance. So we still have things to talk about, guys. Even though 49ers aren't going to the playoffs, we're still going to talk about the teams we want to go for. And then when the playoffs happen, by the way, I'm still going to go live for the playoffs for the teams that I want to win the Super Bowl. So we're still going to talk. I'm still going to live for games despite the 49ers no longer in the Super Bowl. So still content to be made, still a dream to pursue. And as I always say, it is absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, without you guys. You guys make this channel what it is. This channel, this conversation will not last an hour without you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. To everybody who watches this later, if you're not subbed, please sub. Helps out the channel. This is my dream. This is what I love to do. And every single sub helps that out. Thank you so much. Like the channel. It helps put the video out there, helps put the content out there, and it makes us to continue have these great conversations that we constantly have every single time we go live. Seriously, I love you guys. And every single like makes my 49ers heart go from here to here. All love, fam. I'll see you next video. Bang, bang, not a gang. Bang, bang, not a gang. Bang, bang, not a gang.